Book title: Douluo Continent. If, in another world, due to certain reasons, the Douluo Continent has collectively enlightened, and it is this small variable that has led to a change in the entire Douluo's eternal pattern. Dark Demon Evil God Tiger, Betterment of Good and Evil, 12-Winged Angel, Ultimate Holy Fusion Technique, Soul Core Fusion Technique, Self-Martial Soul Fusion, Dust Trap Church in History, Lost Soul Guidance Era, Triple Ascension Ceremony, True Son of Destiny. This is a story about completing Douluo without relying on any external cheats and relying solely on the original settings. Jia, Tang Hao, you don't want anything to happen to Emperor Haotian, do you? Qianxun's illness will hang, with the protagonist being the mother and daughter of Bibidong and Qianrengshu, keywords of the novel. Douluo. National Wisdom, Revival of Angel Glory. No pop-ups, Douluo. National Wisdom, Revival of Angel Glory TXT Complete Collection Download, Douluo. National Wisdom, Revival of Angel Glory Latest Chapter Reading. Chapter 1 Preface. Echoes of the World. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1 Preface. Echoes of the World. Perhaps there really exists luck in this world. Qi luck accompanies destiny, and those who carry it will inevitably follow the general trend of the world. Qi luck is not controlled by humans. But it can be played with by the gods and even taken away. Since the battle of the twin gods at Jialing Pass, Tang San defeated the twin gods of the martial soul hall with the power of Shura, and flew up with the 7 Shrek monsters. However, the Douluo Continent did not usher in their own dawn, and people's lives did not improve with the departure of the martial soul hall. Jack, the village chief, had just finished hanging the gold medal plaque of the Divine Soul Village before returning to the village, intending to go to the martial soul hall with the children as usual to awaken. Old Jack doesn't care about war. In his heart, that's what the country should worry about. As a commoner, what should he worry about? He only knows that a god has emerged in his village, an unparalleled god in the world. The mistress is doing well. Old Jack knocked on the door of a villager, intending to take the children one by one to awaken their martial souls. You should know that a martial soul is a good thing. If you can awaken a beast martial soul, you will have a lot of strength, and doing farm work will be much easier. If you awaken your martial soul, then you don't need to change your farm tools in the future. What if it's a food-based martial soul? That would be great. My family will never have to worry about food and drink for a lifetime. Not only can I sell the food I make to support my family, but I can also provide a source of food for the village. Old Jack himself has a food-based martial soul, carrots. However, compared to this, he hopes that the children can awaken powerful martial souls, because this way they can become respected soul masters, just like the mistress. The whole village has a bright future. But when the door opened, the middle-aged man who came out had a cold and indifferent expression on his face. Jack, what can I do for you? Oh, Tom, I remember your child is also 6 years old this year. Today is the day of awakening the martial soul. Jack smiled. No, on ordinary days when martial souls awaken, everyone is happy. Why is Tom's expression today causing disharmony in family relationships? Martial soul awakening. The martial soul hall is gone. Where else did the martial soul awakening come from? Speaking of which, it was still the great sea god who did it. Don't you think there's a god in the village who looks quite handsome? Roll on, don't bother me. I will save 2 more years of gold soul coins, which will be enough for my Lingling to awaken her martial soul. I just hope that the price of the noble master will remain unchanged in 2 years. Sigh. What are you looking at? Get out of here. With a heavy sound of closing the door, old Jack was finally pulled back from his imagination to reality. Yes, at this moment, the small house of the martial soul hall in the village has already been flattened into ruins, and the martial soul branch hall in Nodding City has long been demolished. Without those good soul masters who go up the mountains and down to the countryside, how can children awaken their martial souls? Nobles. Those nobles will not engage in unprofitable transactions. Speaking of this, old Jack finally remembered that his son seemed to have told him about selling the field, and he even cursed him as a food-based martial soul, not worried about food and drink. Why did he become such a black sheep? It turned out that it was because of this. When he thought of this old Jack Tun, he collapsed to the ground, pounding the ground with each beat, tears streaming down his face. At this moment, he looked at the plaque of the Divine Soul Village in the distance, feeling an indescribable bitterness in his heart. He couldn't figure out why he had been kind to people all his life, providing food to the villagers, and had fallen to the point of selling land to his grandson to awaken his martial soul. Thinking of this, old Jack added some white hair to his head. Listening to some people outside the village loudly praising the great achievements of the sea god, old Jack felt that the world was too far away from him. Did you hear that the martial soul hall is gone? In the tavern, a young man is chatting with a middle-aged man. Yeah. I'm afraid I won't be able to accompany you to the tavern for a drink soon. What's going on? What happened? The martial soul hall is gone. Where did the soul master get the subsidy? Without the soul master subsidy, we soul masters don't have much family property. Where did we get the money? The middle-aged man complained that since he lost his soul master subsidy, his life has been getting worse day by day. Due to his lack of workability, he can't even sustain his life as a commoner anymore. It won't be long before he runs out of food. Damn it. No soul master used to worry about money. Middle-aged people know that they are not powerful soul masters and cannot be favored by those nobles. As for joining the army, the treatment of soul masters in the army is indeed better than that of ordinary people, but now that the war is over, there will be no more war for decades. You just want to go, they still don't want you. I really thought military spending was brought in by a strong wind. Is it difficult to join those families and become vassals? Or be a servant of the nobility? What a joke. Huh, so you're in a hurry about this. Don't forget, we're soul masters. Do you know old Wang? He borrowed a lot of money and food from commoners with his own abilities. What? He's not afraid of being arrested. Hi, what are you afraid of? The martial soul hall is gone, who cares about you? Are you talking about the heavenly Do Empire? You're laughing to death. There are only a few useless people with no soul power, and people can't catch up. They still want to catch up. Sigh, buddy, listen to me. Yesterday I saw a household, let's go borrow it together, and have a good meal tomorrow. The young man raised his eyebrows and looked at the girl in his eyes, indicating that he might be admiring a certain girl. But what are you worried about? With the presence of the great sea god, our soul masters don't just do whatever they want. Yesterday, I heard that a soul master slaughtered a village because the food was not delicious. Hey, no one in the Lord's Guard dares to chase after him. After all, it's just a group of ordinary people. Even if they become soldiers, they are also ordinary people. The middle-aged man wanted to say that he couldn't live up to his conscience, but he knew in his heart how pessimistic his financial situation was. If it continued like this, no way. As a soul master, how can one go begging along the street or become a subordinate servant of others? The middle-aged man had a lot of psychological struggle in his heart, which convinced him. Okay, I promise, you'll lead the way then. Bone Dragon Martial Soul. A soul master looked at the awakened martial soul of the child with a thoughtful expression. How's it going, Master Soul? My child's awakened martial soul should be pretty good, right? They raised money to find noble soul masters to awaken their children's martial souls. The parents who brought their children here may not know much about the martial soul, but looking at the martial soul that clearly carries strong pressure, everyone knows that it is not an ordinary thing. This is the evil martial soul, and he will become an evil soul master in the future. As a soul master, I have an obligation to kill him and strangle the disaster in the cradle. The Soul Master said so, and his eyes began to show a murderous intent. What are you saying? Soul Master, did you make a mistake? How could this child become an evil Soul Master? 100 years ago, the Bone Douluo of the Seven Treasures and Glass sect was also a bone dragon martial soul. The young Soul Master who came next to him seemed unbelievable. He had worshipped the sea god since childhood and had a special understanding of that period of history. Gu Douluo sacrificed his life to save the remains of the sea god, which led to the myth of resurrecting and defeating the twin gods of the martial soul hall. How could he possibly be an evil Soul Master? Humph, what do you know? With such an evil martial soul, even if you don't do evil now, you will definitely harm all beings in the future based on the instinct of the martial soul. Young man, you are still young and don't understand so many great truths. After speaking, he gathered his soul power and, amidst the screams of his parents, took a picture of the child who had just awakened his martial soul and looked bewildered. 20,000 years have passed since Tang Sanqing became the god, during which many talented individuals emerged, but apart from the pair from 10,000 years ago, none of them became gods. After the turbulence of time and space swept away the divine realm, Tang Hao, who was elderly on Douluo Star, was also preparing to start working. Have the mistress and the others left? The bearded uncle stretched lazily and continued the grapes fed by a green-haired woman beside him, living a comfortable life. Then we should get down to business. The third party had already instructed us that as soon as the divine realm disappeared, we should start preparing. How is your fusion going? The green-haired woman was A Yin. A Yin nodded slightly and replied, there are remnants of the masters of the sea god pavilion throughout history in the Tree of Life. It's not easy to suppress their resistance, but it hasn't been long. Soon, I will be able to complete the fusion and become the core of Douluo Star's life. Hauga, what about your side? I'm almost done here, but this person's willpower is a bit stubborn. If he really operates according to his will, this world will only produce infinite errors. Just like the martial soul hall in the past. In order to correct these mistakes, for the peace of this world, for our Tang family, I will seize the power of this plane. Tang Hao hugged A Yin and fed the grapes to A Yin's mouth. That plane's will is not yet mature. He used to want to conceive the son of destiny to rebel against our Tang family, but hasn't he become a dog of our Tang family? It's just a pity that Xiaoqi. Anyway, I will soon become the new plane's will and correct all mistakes. In this new era, the son of destiny can only be a member of our Tang family. How, you've worked hard. Come on, take another one, it seems that I can no longer resist the erosion of those guys. In this void of colorful space, a consciousness flowing with colorful rainbow light trembles slightly. Outside, there is an endless black airflow, which is domineering and heavy, devouring this colorful field. Although I have lost the ability to resist, I will not let other worlds follow my lead. I will send the last essence of Dura to strengthen the foundation of another world. I hope this can be conveyed. The ignorant will does not know what it has done wrong and will be treated like this, but it knows that it must spread the flame of resistance. The original essence broke through the barriers of the world, crossed the dimensions, and went to another parallel world. With the departure of the original, this wisp of will was completely swallowed up by the black hegemonic air. The plain will of parallel worlds received this source and completed awakening ahead of schedule. Now he is able to feel the changes in his spiritual energy. So, is that so? Under the invisible influence of plain will, an invisible wave sweeps across the world. Although it cannot correct the distorted energy, it increases the spirituality of everyone. Perhaps, people who have improved their intelligence have the ability to help Douluo to overcome this shameless disaster in this world. Everyone's fate should belong to themselves, not the Tang family. I can't help but write this down today. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. Chihiro's illness becomes smarter. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Chihiro's illness becomes smarter. Qianxun's illness is definitely going to die, and the plot cannot be pushed forward. The main characters will be positioned on Bibidong and Qianxun's mother and daughter later, so everyone can rest assured to watch. January 11, 2631 in the Douluo calendar. A white-haired man unfolded his golden wings and led the two of them through the forest at a rapid speed that even toppled the surrounding trees. He is Qianxun, and at this moment he is pursuing Tang Hao with his two guardians Douluo. It is not accurate to say that he is chasing Tang Hao, because his true purpose is the 100,000-year-old Blue-Silver Emperor. 9 years ago, Qianxun discovered the Blue-Silver Emperor in the form of a soul beast. The reason why Qianxun only started chasing him recently was because Qianxun had already entered the title and did not lack a soul ring. This soul beast was prepared by him for his disciple Bibidong. A 24-year-old probationary account. Haozi, aren't you boasting about winning the youngest title? Unfortunately, I'll be one step ahead. At first, in order to sever Donger's emotions, I deliberately used illusions to lay out. Now I feel a bit ashamed, so let's compensate Donger with this soul beast. Here we take the original work and create a new one. Haozi, I didn't expect you to run so well, but you can't escape from the palm of my hand. 3 titles still can't win your Soul Douluo and Soul Saint. My advantage lies in me. Pope's opinion. The accompanying guardian Douluo also agreed. The 2 titled Douluo who followed Qianxun were Guangxi Douluo and Chui Mo Douluo. Their martial souls were Dali Mo Shi and Chui Mo Niao. Unfortunately, their strength was not strong and they had no background when they were young. The 5th soul ring was only purple, which has depleted their potential and hindered their cultivation. However, both of them later entered the ranks with the help of the Martial Soul Hall, so they were loyal ministers to the Martial Soul Hall. At this moment, an invisible ripple swept over, as if throwing stones into the pool. Qianxun only felt a headache, but then he became even more conscious. Ah! Hiss! I'm going to have a brain. Wait, why do I have this idea? No, what did I do before? Qianxun had never felt his mind so clear before, to the point where he was shocked to think of what he had done before. Oh my goodness, why did he do such a thing that benefits the enemy rather than himself before? I didn't even care if Donger revealed so much to that useless person at that time. It is necessary to lift the illusion on Donger and tell her the truth. No, it's not the time to think about this now. Qianxun shook his head and looked at the 2 guardian Douluo beside him. They seemed to have just regained consciousness, as if they had been living in ignorance in the past. The 3 of them looked at each other. Pope, what happened just now? How do I feel like my head is much clearer? The wild rhinoceros Douluo on the side felt like his dull head had become a bit smarter. Qianxun pondered for a moment, carefully using his spiritual power to search around, but he couldn't find anything wrong. It's not important anymore. The top priority now is to capture the Blue-Silver Emperor. Elder Chui Mo, have you locked onto the target yet? The martial soul of Chui Mo Douluo, Chui Mo bird, is a highly carnivorous bird. If it weren't for the incorrect combination of soul rings in the early years, it wouldn't have been stuck at level 91, just like the mad rhinoceros Douluo. But as a raptor-type martial soul, the ability to hunt is still very strong. Don't worry, Pope. My 5th soul skill, the hunting mark, is not something Tang Hao and his team can shake off. But that soul beast-shaped guy. She has a territory that can conceal her position, and I can only confirm that they are hiding within this range. It's definitely right to go in this direction. Very good. Qianxun nodded and continued flying towards the direction where Tang Hao was. Now Qianxun feels his mind unusually clear, even having a plan during the flight alone. The idea of directly confronting and forcefully seizing before cannot be said to be wrong. After careful consideration, Qianxun still believes that the previous plan is not appropriate. Tang Hao is an extreme flow soul master, whose attributes are all focused on strength, and he also possesses a top-level martial soul Haotian hammer. With the help of Haotian's unique skills, his strength is even comparable to that of a super martial soul. Now that he has reached the level 90 quasi-title, in terms of strength alone, he may be able to demonstrate strength no less than that of a title. If we were to confront each other head-on, we might be fine, but if Tang Hao uses the explosive ring, his guardian Douluo will inevitably suffer significant damage. It should be noted that at the age of 35, Tang Hao was at level 84, but he broke one leg of the title of the martial soul hall. If we can avoid losses, then naturally we still need to avoid them. Furthermore, according to previous intelligence, the escape ability of that soul beast-shaped creature is extraordinary, so there must be a plan that prevents her from escaping. Such as making her jump involuntarily. In no time, Qianxun had a thought in his mind that he could seize the solution of the Blue-Silver Emperor without spending a single soldier or using weapons. Hee. My previous thoughts were still too simplistic, but it's okay. Now I have a better way. Guangxi, Chui Mo, please cooperate with me next. The two of them were taken aback and also took on the task arranged by Qianxun. 2 flowers bloom, each representing one branch. Wow, A Yin, our child has been born. Tang Hao held the child and said to A Yin lying in bed. At this moment, Tang Hao and A Yin's husband and wife were in a small wooden house, while 2 nearby villagers had just given birth to A Yin and were also sweating profusely. Okay. My child. After all, A Yin is in the form of the Blue-Silver Emperor, carrying the Blue-Silver Realm. With the power of the Blue-Silver Realm, she quickly regained some physical strength, supporting herself to look up at the child. Back then, my brother and I became sworn brothers together. You were the 3rd younger sister, so why not name your child Tang-san? Tang Hao suggested. Okay, I think this name is good. My third. Tang Hao also looked at his own child, and he was already prepared in his heart. After all, he was a human and soul beast transformed child. Seeing that the child was not born as a wolf thief, he was already very satisfied. The child in Tang Hao's arms was still crying and babbling incessantly, but because he had just been born and his senses were still very confused, he quickly went back to sleep after his energy was exhausted. Tang Hao glanced at the couple of villagers next to him. They were giving birth to A Yin and already knew their whereabouts. In order to avoid being discovered by Qianxun, they must be silenced after taking A Yin away later. Okay, Brother Hao. Wait, I feel like they're here. A Yin's Blue-Silver Realm can be explored through the Blue-Silver Grass. At this moment, Qianxun and others have entered her realm. Judging from their appearance, it seems that they are coming here. How could it be? How did they know? How? Hurry up. You can't go anywhere today. Due to a change in plan, Qianxun no longer waited for the slow guy Guangxi Douluo, but only rushed over with Chui Mo Douluo. Both of them were extremely fast-flying martial souls, so he naturally did not give Tang Hao and his wife a chance to transfer. At this moment, the Qianxun Disease Wisdom Pearl is in hand, and the Blue-Silver Emperor will surely take it. Regarding the issue of Bibidong's age, we have taken some leaked information from Do. Bibidong and Yu Shaojiang were both 18 years old at the time of their separation. During the Soul Master competition, Bibidong and Yuxiagang were separated for 20 years, which means Bibidong was 38 years old at this time. I was 14 years old when I competed with Tang-san's Soul Master. By reverse inference, it can be inferred that Tang-san was born at the age of 24 compared to Baidong. Kuda Baidong is 24 years old and is eligible for the title. As for how to determine if it is a quasi-banned account. Tang Hao was discovered by the Martial Soul Hall at the age of 35, original design, but was only titled at the age of 44. It is known that Tang Hao was only titled after being sacrificed by A Yin, indicating that it took 9 years for Qianxun to arrest the Blue-Silver Emperor. The only explanation here is that Bibi Dong only needed the 9th soul ring at this time. After all, Qianxun, as the Pope, could not be so devoted to others. Another sentence to add. Due to the age loophole of Qianxun, Bibi Dong may have at least 3 age data according to the original timeline, and here is also the average data calculated at the end. As the first practitioner of twin martial souls in history, Bibi Dong's cultivation talent is still shocking. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. The Yang Strategy of Qianxun's Illness. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. The Yang Strategy of Qianxun's Illness. You can't go anywhere today. Tang Hao was shocked as he looked at Qianxun in the sky outside, his eyes cracking. He never expected to be discovered hiding here. This is the drawback of extreme flow soul masters. Although they can concentrate their attributes to gain strength far beyond their peers unilaterally, they will become extremely weak in other aspects. Just like now, Tang Hao didn't even know that he had been hit by the mark of Chui Mo Douluo. If A Yin is still in its prime, he may be able to discover and remove the power of markers, but how can A Yin, who has just become pregnant and given birth, have this ability? Qianxun disease. I have no grievances or enmities with you. Why did you force me to come here? Tang Hao doesn't understand. Isn't he just dating soul beasts? Why did you hurt us? You said you were just hunting soul beasts. Fuck it. A Yin is my family. Even if it's a soul beast, it's still my private property. She's just dead. The soul ring and soul bone should also be mine. Why did you touch her? It has to be said that Tang Hao's thoughts at this moment are difficult for ordinary people to understand, but this is indeed his train of thought. Ah, Tang Hao, why do you shelter her even though you know she is a soul beast transformed human? As a human, I have forgotten the pain of our ancestors opening up a living space from the world of soul beasts, and instead colluded with them. I am truly ashamed of you. Don't you know that doing so will bring catastrophic disaster to the Haotian sect? Qianxun's illness was neither urgent nor slow. In his view, the blue-silver emperor was already in his pocket. With Tang Hao's personality, the blue-silver emperor could be easily captured. Qianxun, what kind of nonsense are you talking about? A Yin is so kind, how could she be that kind of soul beast that harms humans? Besides, she has already transformed into a human, so naturally she is not considered a soul beast. Tang Hao is a person who believes in death. In the eyes of the children of Haotian sect, what others say is not important, but what he thinks is important. Why do we talk about reason? I asked his hammer first. Ha ha ha. This is the funniest joke I've ever heard this year. Can a human expose soul rings and soul bones? What are you joking about? Haozi, don't you forget how your father died? He died of anger because you eloped with a soul beast. Tang Hao's face turned red with anger. He was a loyal member of the sect and naturally a great filial son. When Qianxun mentioned this matter, Tang Hao felt both embarrassed and angry, panting like an ox. Enough. If you want to catch A Yin, just step on me first. Qianxun also lost his interest in joking and decided to get to the point, but he still hasn't forgotten the purpose of his trip. Haozi, you've figured it out. If something happens to me, your Haotian sect will be finished. You can try attacking me, killing me, and crushing me, but I don't know if Haotian sect can withstand the revenge of the martial soul hall. You will be the culprit of the sect then. Jia, Tang Hao, you don't want anything to happen to Haotian sect, do you? Qianxun sneered. He had been paying attention to Tang Hao for a long time. He knew that Tang Hao was just a slave of the sect, and even a brainless man would understand the pros and cons after being instigated. Oh, if it were Tang Hao, who is fearless and fearless, I wouldn't be able to win the blue-silver emperor unscathed. But if it were Tang Hao, who is tied up, I wouldn't be able to handle it. However, this is not enough. In Tang Hao's heart, the sect and A Yin are equally important, so. A Yin must love you deeply. That's not right. Qianxun. You. Despicable. Qian thief. Tang Hao also fell into chaos for a while. He just didn't use his brain normally, not stupid. Now his brain is exceptionally clear, but he wished he didn't know this. He has already angered his father and can't bring disaster to the sect anymore. If one has been away from the sect for 9 years and causes disasters to the sect, Tang Hao couldn't imagine what would happen. But he couldn't just watch A Yin be taken away like this. Yes, that's it. Although we can't kill Qianxun, as long as we stop him ourselves, we can. 1,000 thieves, I won't let you go. Oh, really? Qianxun chuckled inwardly, noticing the frightened attention of A Yin in the small wooden house, and his heart was hooked. Subsequently, Qianxun's illness forced the sound into a thread and transmitted it to A Yin. You're called A Yin, don't rush to speak up, otherwise you can't afford the consequences. A Yin was suddenly startled and was about to call out to Tang Hao, but she was also at a loss when she heard Qianxun's words. What do you want to do? A Yin also forced Yin Qingxian to respond, saying that the current A Yin is at least a soul saint. Even if his body is weak, it is not difficult to achieve this. You know my purpose. Well, Tang Hao is struggling to choose between you and the sect, but you should know that even if Tang Hao defeats me in any way, his sect will suffer disaster, and then you will be an accomplice in harming Tang Hao's sect. I heard that your soul beasts have some wonderful methods, but don't think defeating me will solve the problem. A Yin naturally loves Tang Hao deeply, and she will naturally think from Tang Hao's perspective. If she sacrifices herself to Tang Hao, perhaps Tang Hao can truly defeat Qianxun and break through the siege, but in that case, he will also bear the responsibility of being a sinner in the sect, which is definitely not what he wants. You understand, my purpose is only for you. I don't need to take action against Tang Hao, so as long as you come with me, Tang Hao will naturally be fine. I guarantee it in the name of the Pope. Qianxun's illness saw that the weight was not enough, and he added a promise. A Yin gritted her teeth, how could she not know that this was just a conspiracy? If she sacrificed herself, Tang Hao would lose both his sect and himself, but if she sacrificed herself, sorry, Brother Hao, I can't be with you until old age, so the mistress can only be entrusted to you for care. But I can't go with you in person. This is A Yin's final insistence. If he leaves directly with Qianxun, Hao Gu will definitely stop him. Don't worry, I'll come back tonight to pick you up. After the conversation was over, Qianxun also received a satisfactory response, and then the confrontation with Tang Hao, who was in a state of entanglement, ended. Haozi, I'll give you 1 night's time. Just think about it carefully. I'll come back when you understand tomorrow. After speaking, he flew up and disappeared into place. Tang Hao waited anxiously for a while when he saw that Qianxun had indeed not turned back, so he returned to the small wooden house. Seeing A Yin sit up, Tang Hao quickly ran forward. A Yin. Why are you up? Lie down quickly. At this moment, Tang Hao's mind was full of the entanglement he had just experienced, completely unaware of A Yin's expression. As a straight man, he couldn't even imagine that aspect. A Yin, how are you? Are you feeling better now? By the way, have you confirmed Qianxun's swift walk? A Yin's face was complex, but she still lay down with Tang Hao's help. I'm fine, there's a blue-silver realm, and I'm recovering quickly. Don't worry about me. Also, Qianxun has indeed left, at least my blue-silver realm hasn't detected him. A Yin didn't tell the truth, but her delicate mind wouldn't make Tang Hao worry about it. A Yin thought to himself, as long as he keeps a secret from Hao Gu now, he won't be entangled with me again after I leave. Regarding Tang Hao's view of A Yin as private property, it is also to reflect some people's logical thinking that the martial soul palace should not kill A Yin. In their view, A Yin is Tang Hao's lover, so it is Tang Hao's private property. It is wrong to steal the martial soul hall. However, according to the rules of the Soul Master realm, ownership can only be determined based on fists. Even the dispute over the ownership of soul beasts between Zhao Wuji and Snake Po was handled in this way, and it was explicitly mentioned that this is the rule of the Soul Master realm. Therefore, in terms of both emotion and reason, the approach of the martial soul hall should be correct. In addition, in the original plot, Tang Hao dealt a heavy blow to Qianxun, and Haotian's sect did indeed pay the price. Therefore, for Qianxun, who was enlightened, it is relatively reasonable to think of using Haotian's sect as a threat chip. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Illusion Master Qianxun. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4 Illusion Master Qianxun at night. As soon as Tang Hao thought of what Qianxun had said, he dared not go to sleep. He could only stay here and guard A Yin. As for running away, he is just an extreme flow soul master in the direction of strength. How can he run past the thousand seekers disease with angel martial souls? Moreover, A Yin has just given birth, and although he has regained his strength, he cannot move excessively, which is not convenient for him to move. He is both intentional and powerless. A Yin's inner world is also extremely complex. She resists following Chihiro, but if she doesn't do so, it will harm Hauge and his sect. This is something she cannot accept in her heart. Being kind like her, how can she harm her Hauge? If it weren't for Qianxun's words, she might have pretended to agree and offered sacrifices to Tang Hao while Qianxun was not paying attention, but now she had to compromise. He's here. A Yin's blue-silver field can sense Qianxun's approach, but out of commitment, she did not remind Tang Hao. She also wants to know how Qianxun will take her away. Tang Hao's originally angry and wide-eyed eyes gradually drooped, as if immersed in some kind of fantasy, and soon fell asleep. A Yin, don't leave. After all, Tang Hao is just an extreme flow soul master who follows the path of strength. In order to fit this, his soul bones all over his body are almost reinforced, which also leads to him having no resistance at all under the illusion of Qianxun disease. If it were a frontal battle, Qianxun would not have the chance to wait for the illusion to take effect, but with A Yin deliberately concealing it, Qianxun would have enough time to trap Tang Hao into the illusion. Although Qianxun is not a spiritual soul master, he is also a master of illusions who has distorted the thoughts of others through illusions. Even if Bibi Dong and Yu Shaojiang fall in love, it was his original masterpiece. Unfortunately, looking back now, his actions were too foolish. Take new settings. A Yin looked at Tang Hao, her heart dripping with blood, but for the sake of Hauge, let's go. Qianxun hurriedly walked in and made a gesture of invitation to A Yin. Chui Mo Douluo was already waiting outside. A Yin nodded slightly, gave Tang Hao a reluctant glance, and then came to Qianxun's side with tears in his eyes. Goodbye, Hauge. Perhaps it's really not appropriate between humans and soul beasts. Let's continue. Perhaps only tragedy. Qianxun sealed A Yin's soul power, allowing Chui Mo Douluo to take A Yin first, while he stayed behind and was responsible for intercepting Tang Hao, who had gone berserk after waking up later. This also prevented A Yin from changing his mind temporarily when he saw Tang Hao chasing after him. As for why not directly kill Tang Hao? If Qianxun only stole A Yin, it wouldn't be much, but if he killed Tang Hao, he would also have to worry about future retaliation from Tang Chen. At present, he doesn't know Tang Chen's whereabouts. Let's go. Chui Mo Douluo transformed his martial soul true body and, under multiple acceleration soul techniques, left with A Yin at the fastest speed. Qianxun looked at A Yin, who had left, and also breathed a sigh of relief. However, although we cannot kill Tang Hao, it is still possible to leave something behind for him. Qianxun reached out his hand and aimed it at Tang Hao's head, intending to leave a deep impression on him. On this day, Tang Hao had a dream. He dreamt that he was planning to marry A Yin back home and happily reunite with his family, but before he could get home, his father was infuriated by him because he married a soul beast, not a human. He hates why he did such a foolish thing, but he doesn't regret marrying A Yin. A Yin is so kind, so beautiful, she's worth it. But soon, because he was with A Yin, all kinds of disasters approached Haotian's sect. Everyone criticized him as a traitor who betrayed humanity and colluded with soul beasts. Even the Haotian sect was implicated and ashamed. But what exactly did he do wrong? Why can't we balance both? Why, being with A Yin, Haotian sect will suffer hardships? Is it a mistake for them to be together? But as the dream changed, the more he and A Yin became silent, the more disasters Haotian sect suffered. Countless people came to attack them for the soul ring and soul bone, and he fought back. So those people stopped looking for them and instead sought out the Haotian sect. Perhaps a sect was not qualified to deal with the so-called number one sect in the world, but after countless disciples of various sects were killed by Tang, these sects still united and collectively sought out the Haotian sect. Even in the most serious case, Haotian's sect almost suffered a devastating defeat, which can be said to have launched a nationwide attack. Even his kind A Yin believed that being with him was a mistake, causing him and his sect so much pain. In the end, A Yin proposed a separation for his sake. No. A Yin. Don't leave. Tang Hao murmured in his sleep, while Qianxun gradually strengthened his qualitative understanding of the matter. After all, only by making himself aware of this can he dispel his desire to seek trouble as much as possible. Playing with psychology is already a minor issue for the illusionary master Qianxun. But when he was about to make Tang Hao give up on this relationship, he encountered intense resistance. What's going on? It shouldn't be. At this moment, Tang Hao also trembled violently, sweating all over, as if fighting against something intangible, struggling to break free, as if about to wake up. Qianxun noticed something was amiss, and after stabilizing his illusion, he immediately stood up and left. He is not afraid of Tang Hao, but he knows what Tang Hao will do if he goes crazy after seeing A Yin disappear. If he abandons his rationality, he may not necessarily have any entanglements. But Qianxun couldn't just kill Tang Hao like this. If he really did, wouldn't it be equivalent to doing the same foolish thing as Tang Hao before when Tang Chen came out? Not long after Qianxun's illness had flown away, Tang Hao's whole body emitted a bloody red light, and the sleeping baby beside him gradually woke up. However, he did not cry, but looked curiously at the world, as if there were souls inside that did not belong to this world. Under the stimulation of the crimson magic light, Tang Hao suddenly woke up and stood up, looking at the empty room except for the baby. He was suddenly shocked and repeatedly confirmed that this was the true understanding that A Yin was missing. Thousand thieves. Evil thieves. Rebels. Dog thieves. Raptors. I want you to die hard. Give me back A Yin. Tang Hao summoned the martial soul Haotian hammer and was about to go out to chase after Qianxun, but after some thought, he turned around and hugged Tang San, who was still a baby. He tore up his clothes and tied Tang San to his body before leaving to chase after Qianxun. The crimson magic light on Tang Hao's body was particularly strong, as if responding to his anger, and in an unnoticed place, a blood-red eye watched all of this. Unexpected development. But the impact is not significant. Taking advantage of those few people's absence, giving Tang Hao a trace of my divine power should ensure that there is no significant impact. Since Tang San has already sent it over, then my current work has also been completed. For the interference of the Shura god, it is actually deduced from the original work. After all, how could a newborn baby not eat or drink for 3 days and 3 nights, and still bear the pressure and aftereffects of 4 Douluo titles, let alone Tang Hao opening an explosive ring? Will the shock born in his arms really not die? Can't even Lan Xuanyu, who hasn't awakened his martial soul, achieve it. The only explanation, patch, that can be given is that the Shura god intervened in it. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Killing God Tang Hao. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5 Killing God Tang Hao. Haha, today is really a good day. I won't be able to earn back a 100,000-year-old soul beast from the Martial Soul Hall without any capital. It's probably my first time in history. But with my speed, Tang Hao shouldn't be able to catch up, right? Qianxun was flying towards the direction of Wuhuan City, pondering whether he had missed anything. In his view, Tang Hao was at most just a quasi-title, inheriting the techniques of the Haotian sect's Big Sumi hammer and explosive ring. He was not afraid of himself, who possessed divine-level martial soul, 6-winged angels and super Douluo cultivation. His 8-ring explosion may indeed threaten himself, but I am not a fool. How could I obediently stand there and let him fight? I really can't avoid myself and the angel true body. The angel true body is also known as the holy immortal body. As long as there is a trace of divine light, I can escape. Even if I have a soul skill that I must lock in, I have to catch up with myself first, right? Tang Hao is a limit flow soul master who walks with strength. What should he catch up with his 6-winged angel? Qianxun's idea is indeed not a problem. Nowadays, everyone's consciousness has relatively returned to normal. It is impossible for anyone to be foolish enough to confront Haotian Hammerhead. On, but he still missed a point. Someone behind Tang Hao's back is actually cheating on him. 1,000 thieves. Take your life. Suddenly, a blood-red light appeared on the horizon in the distance. Although it was night, it presented an eerie atmosphere of dusk approaching. The crimson blood light rushed towards us like a sea of blood, and the strong murderous aura was like a demon emerging from the sea of corpses and blood. Although Tang Hao has never really killed such a large number of people, he has at least killed thousands of people. Now, with the bonus of that unknown power, this crimson killing intent has multiplied. The realm of killing gods. Qianxun is not unfamiliar with this, because his disciple Donger also has such a realm. As far as he knows, it is a power obtained from the capital of slaughter, a realm condensed from killing intent, and even for some inexplicable reasons, it can counteract his angelic realm. But Tang Hao's realm of killing gods at this time was definitely not something like Donger's. He had experienced Donger's realm of killing gods, but he did not feel this chilling feeling, as if facing death directly. How could it be? No matter how I say it, I am still at level 95 and close to Super Douluo. How could I be so scared by Tang Hao's quasi-title? Donger is also a quasi-title holder, but her field of killing gods has not reached this level either. Qianxun immediately expanded into the angel realm, but the angel realm did not dissolve Tang Hao's god-killing realm as he had imagined. Instead, it was cut and torn apart, making it impossible to approach. Damn it! At this moment, Tang Hao was also in a state of anger. He had not even noticed the changes in the realm of killing gods. In his subconscious, this was the power that erupted from his anger on the spot. Chaos Cloak. Tang Hao began to wave the Haotian hammer in his hand, using his legs to drive his waist and then extending it to his arms, unleashing the power of his entire body in hitting it with a single blow. Qianxun is not foolish either. He did not take this blow hard. Although he didn't know why Tang Hao suddenly became so fierce, he was still careful. With a single blow, a huge deep pit emerged, but Tang Hao did not stop. He continued to hammer one after another, his momentum suddenly piling up, as if constantly expanding. The violent force frightened the ghosts and gods. With the disintegration of the angelic realm, the realm of killing gods finally covered Qianxun's body. At this moment, he finally realized something was wrong. The killing intent was chilling to the bone marrow, as if he was facing a killing god instead of a human. No way. We can't delay any longer. We must quickly interrupt his momentum. Qianxun forced himself to wake up and directly used his fifth soul skill, the Holy Sword. A projection of the angel Holy Sword appeared in his hand, and his light wings spread out, dodging Tang Hao's swift and powerful hammer. He then struck Tang Hao's back with his backhand. The Chaos Cloak Hammer technique has a drawback, which is that it is not flexible enough. The entire person simply follows the flow of inertia, making it impossible to forcefully control body position changes. At least before having a matching body method or a physical body that forcibly resists inertia. Tang Hao was suddenly startled. He was reckless, but not foolish. Having experienced the capital of slaughter, he naturally had considerable combat experience. He immediately completed the weighing of pros and cons and swung a hammer towards his back, overcoming inertia's backlash. He knew how terrifying the divine power of the six-winged angel soul was, and the holy sword had multiplied this effect. Once he was hit by that purifying and dissolving power, his combat power would definitely decline severely, so he could only harm each other's power to the lesser extent. Qianxun also didn't expect Tang Hao to be so tough, but he had already interrupted his energy storage, so the goal had been achieved. Then, he launched the second soul skill Holy Flash to avoid Tang Hao's attack. Haozi, I involuntarily came with us, why are you blaming me? You shut up. You stole A Yin. Tang Haomu was eager to crack, and was shocked to see that his invincible cloak had been cracked now. As usual, others would always clash with their Haotian sex hammer. How could Qianxun learn to be smart now? Have the ability to confront me head-on. Humph, who would be foolish enough to give up their own advantages and embrace your strengths? Seeing that the fierce general's technique was not effective, Tang Hao had no choice but to launch other moves. Haotian's 9 Jews were used one after another, and Qianxun's illness was also taken one by one. However, as time passed, Qianxun's illness also noticed something was wrong. The impact of that killing intent on oneself began to become increasingly severe, as if one's limbs were becoming numb. If this continues, you will die. Tang Hao, you're not afraid of your Haotian sect. Shut up. Return A Yin. Tang Hao has completely lost his sanity and given up his worries. The current Tang Hao is exactly his peak state at this moment. Haotian's true body. Tang Hao embodied his true martial soul. Then there was a burst of explosions, and it was Tang Hao's soul ring. He blasted open his own soul ring and injected the power into it. As each soul ring shattered, the Haotian hammer in Tang Hao's hand became even larger, unable to be heavy, like a small mountain, full of domineering and wild power. As the violent power rose, the realm of killing gods also rose up, and the fiery killing intent almost turned into a physical entity, ready to strangle all enemies. Qianxun finally understood that this is not the realm of killing gods, but rather, killing territory. I once only heard my father mention it, but I didn't expect it to be true. Unable to move, completely unable to move, as if the entire body has been frozen by endless killing intent, like a criminal awaiting trial. Even soul skills cannot be used, just like the environment of the capital of slaughter. Qianxun originally planned to escape this blow through the effect of the angel's true body, but he found that he could not feel the power of the soul ring at all. Damn it, I should be no weaker than him, why was I suppressed like this? Do you really want to die here? Thousand thieves. Death. The Haotian hammer, which exploded with 8 rings, although not comparable to a divine blow, was also comparable to the limit. Tang Hao exhausted all his strength, and even his body was torn apart under the violent force, still swung this blow. He knew that from then on, he would fall into a long period of weakness, with unimaginable hidden wounds remaining on his body, but that was not important anymore. In his heart, he could only kill Qianxun and retrieve A Yin. Regarding the realm of killing gods, when Tang San used the realm of killing gods to confront Qian Renshue's angel realm, he said that the realm of killing gods was evil, so it could counteract the righteousness of the angel realm. Later on, it was said that the Shura god was a just killing. So I can only explain this for inexplicable reasons. If everyone has any ideas, you can bring them up. The drawbacks of the Chaos Cloak Hammer technique stem from the original work. Tang San solved it through the Ghost Shadow and Mist Step, which was combined to form the Chaos Cloak Dance. As for the physical body that forcibly overcomes inertia, this point should only be mentioned by Do San Tang Wulin, so it is assumed that Tang Hao cannot easily achieve it here. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Return to Martial Soul City. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Return to Martial Soul City. Tang Hao's innocent body, resembling a small mountain, was smashed down, but Qianxun was unable to move in the midst of his murderous intent. He was hit by a hammer and fell into the sky, hitting the earth. The violent force was instantly unleashed, and the impact wave, like a storm, turned the surrounding ground into a conical impact pit, flattening all the trees. From the perspective of its destructive power alone, even a small mountain would have to collapse with this hammer. Even if Chihiro's illness did not die, he would have to peel off his skin. But Qianxun didn't do nothing. He had already anticipated that Tang Hao would directly bombard him, so he deliberately took advantage of Tang Hao's fierce attack and sent himself out of the killing territory. Using attacks to knock oneself off is a conventional strategy in the eyes of today's Chihiro disease. Qianxun's illness now only feels as if every bone in his body has been shattered, with broken meridians everywhere, severe internal bleeding, muscle pain, and even a direct depression in his chest. He can't help but spit out a mouthful of fresh blood and gasp for breath. At least I survived. Qianxun thought to himself this way, and then blocked his wound with divine power to maintain circulation in his body. Only then did he stop bleeding and barely regain his ability to stand up. The six-winged angel is a highly balanced martial soul. Although its divine power cannot heal itself, it can also accelerate the recovery of injuries and curb their deterioration. Tang Hao disregarded the torn wound on his body and was planning to pursue, but at this moment, the side effects of using the explosive ring to overdraw his strength still occurred. Many tendons and blood vessels in his body were shattered under the just burst of violent force. He could only kneel on one knee, vomiting blood in pain, staring at the direction of Qianxun's fall with a ferocious expression on his face, roaring loudly. "Thousand thieves! This time it's not successful, I will definitely kill you in the future. I'll put your head on your neck for now. I'll come and retrieve it sooner or later." Qianxun can no longer continue fighting at this moment, and fighting in this state may completely render him useless. Therefore, he did not pay attention to Tang Hao, but took advantage of the fact that Tang Hao had lost his pursuit ability and quickly activated the second soul skill Holy Flash to escape and leave. Flying in the elemental state of Divine Flicker can avoid secondary damage to the body as much as possible. Tang Hao. Damn it. In the future, my disciple will reclaim this shame for me. Although Qianxun was seriously injured, Tang Hao was not doing well either. On the surface, it seemed that Tang Hao had dealt a heavy blow to Qianxun, but in reality, both sides suffered losses and lost their ability to fight again, unable to capture the other. However, what neither side noticed was that the baby in Tang Hao's swaddling clothes remained unscathed in the pressure and aftermath of the battle, only to be protected by a bloody force. It wasn't until Qianxun left completely that it gradually faded away. Without the inexplicable support of his strength, Tang Hao gradually lost his strength and collapsed to the ground, crying and roaring, just falling asleep in pain. A few days later, Qianxun returned to the martial soul city covered in blood. If he were in his prime, at the speed of his six-winged angel, it might only take him less than a day to return, but his injuries clearly did not allow him to fly at full speed. At the first moment of his return, he had just planned to go to the Apostolic Hall to find his father, but after careful consideration, he finally went to the Papal Hall. Cui Mo Douluo should have already brought back the 100,000-year-old blue-silver emperor. Take this opportunity to clear up the misunderstanding and not keep it from Doulner. Returning to the hall of the Pope's palace, Chihiro found the waiting Emerald Demon Douluo and the brought back A Yin. Chui Mo Douluo also noticed Qianxun's return and quickly welcomed him. Under the Pope's crown. You're back. How come you're so injured? Go find a healing soul master. Looking at the blood soaked in Chihiro's body due to blood vessel rupture, as well as the depression in his chest, Mo Douluo couldn't calm down in his heart. If it weren't for the Pope's coronation asking him to bring back the Blue-Silver Emperor and personally bringing him to the rear, how could he have suffered such a serious injury? If it were his own queen, perhaps the Pope wouldn't have been injured. It's not your problem, it's my decision mistake. I didn't expect Tang Hao to suddenly unleash such a powerful force, not like his own. If it were your queen, it would probably be a corpse at this moment. Don't forget the fate of the elder who came to see Tang Hao, who broke his leg and is still recovering in the library. Qianxun did not attribute the problem to his subordinates, as it was indeed his calculation error. He didn't expect Tang Hao to suddenly become so strong, and even completely ignored the logic. As a power limit flow soul master, he caught up with his already skilled balanced flow, which was too strange. This situation is something that everyone would be puzzled about, right? Hao Gu. What have you done to Hao Gu? Qianxun. I'll tell you. If you hurt Tang Hao, I'll die and I won't sacrifice for you. You don't want to get my soul ring and soul bone either. A Yin saw Qianxun returning with blood all over his body, thinking that it was Qianxun who turned around to kill Tang Hao and almost fainted in a hurry. Qianxun glanced at A Yin. He had seen A Yin's realm before, and it was truly a terrifying force that could not die even with a single breath. With such a powerful regenerative power and vitality, he dared not assert the truth of A Yin's words. Don't worry, your Tang Hao is still fine. However, he woke up early and discovered your departure, so he caught up with me behind the hall. TSK, his great Susumi hammer is indeed powerful, blowing up 8 soul rings and injuring me to this extent. However, he was unable to kill me, and I lost my ability to fight again, so I didn't take his life. So don't worry, he's fine now. As long as you don't flirt with him, he won't take the initiative to seek death. You should also know the essence of the martial soul city during this period. As the Pope, there's no need for me to lie. Yes, A Yin has also known during this period that in this martial soul city, there are more than 10 or even 20 gazes from people of all sizes who have made bets. She dare not think about what would happen if her Hauga came here. So what do you want next? Do you want me to offer sacrifices now? A Yin has already given up. She knows that living will only become Tang Hao's obsession. It's better to die and let Tang Hao give up fighting in the martial soul city. Don't worry for now, I will arrange it later. For Qianxun, before giving Bibi Dong the 9th soul ring, she should first relieve the illusion on her body and confess the previous truth. Otherwise, with Bibidong's current mentality, he may only be full of hostility towards the martial soul hall, and he will not allow himself to be the enemy. Damn it, why did I allow Yu Xiaojiang to learn the knowledge of the martial soul hall before, and even expose him to those top secrets? Is it true that my previous brain was disabled? After speaking, he instructed Chui Mo Douluo to take A Yin and set him up first, so that Guangxi Douluo could inform his father, which could be considered a successful report. Just as he was about to notify the healing soul master and subordinates to prepare medicine, someone came. The disciple pays respects to the teacher. In the original work, when Tang San was still a baby, he didn't eat or drink for 3 days and 3 nights, enduring the pressure of 4 titles and the aftermath. Therefore, he believed that the intervention of the Shura was completely reasonable. After all, even if it were for Lan Xuanyu who had not awakened his martial soul, he could not achieve this. Tang Hao holds Tang San and engages in a 3-day and 3-night battle with the 3 titles. Additionally, Chihiro's illness is at risk. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Expansion of variables. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 8. Awakening from a Big Dream. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 8. Awakening from a Big Dream. Teacher, it's time to take the medicine. With the opening of the door, Bibi Dong brought medicine from outside the door into the room. Although this medicine is not a fairy, it can also be called a rare treasure. It can have a very good recovery effect on the injured, repair damage to the meridians, and accelerate bone recovery. Qianxun's face softened as he watched Bibi bring in the medicine from the east. Well, Donger, thank you for your hard work. It's time for me to talk to you about some things. Qianxun took the medicine from Bibidong's hand and drank it without hesitation, as if he had figured something out, with deep eyes. Bibidong was stunned for a moment, thinking of seeking revenge immediately. However, he didn't want Qianxun to lightly touch her head, causing mysterious ripples to ripple on his fingertips. Bibidong's mind also surged like a raging river. The illusion of Qianxun's illness comes from his head soul bone, which is the only angel soul bone he has absorbed. To outsiders, its soul bone technique is a disguise, but only the angel clan knows that its true ability is to influence the cognition of others, just like a divine-level spiritual simulation. If the spiritual power is strong enough, it can even distort the thoughts of others under long-term influence. Its real name is Angel Fantasy. This is something that even Bibi Dong had never known. If she knew, how could she have been tricked? And what Yu Xiaojiang knows is nothing more than what Bibi Dong once told him. Since Qianxun became clear-headed, she has been thinking about her disciple, with the aim of helping her cut off these unnecessary emotions. Naturally, she no longer needs to hold on to her attachment to that useless person. Perhaps it was because she had acted too harshly in the past, or because her mind was really lacking at that time, that Donger's thoughts were biased and she had not even realized it. With the release of the illusion, Bibi Dong slowly regained consciousness. Her memory did not change, but she lost a filter. After losing this filter, her perspective on memories became more rational. Bibi Dong is not a foolish person either, how could she never imagine what she had done before? I am also considered a rare and talented woman in history, why did I invest so much emotion in that level 29 waste? As for intelligence and talent, isn't that all copying the knowledge from the Martial Soul Hall Library? I know those things myself. Ah. What's going on? Me, why? Bibidong's brain was in chaos. She was half kneeling on the ground, seemingly unable to understand what had happened. She felt as if the worldview she had established for a long time had collapsed in an instant, but she could clearly understand how absurd her former self was from a clear and rational perspective today. I'm sorry for only telling you this now. You have reached level 90, and I have prepared a 100,000-year-old soul beast for you. Soon, you will become the youngest title Douluo in the world and a powerful individual. But you know, the strong not only need to have strong strength, but also need to have a strong heart. I used to want to use illusions as a means to cut off your emotions towards trivial matters, but I never intended to make things worse and make you fall in love with that useless person. Now that I have come to my senses, I naturally want to correct the mistakes I made in the past. You should know that not only the upper three sects, but also the two empires and various forces are all afraid of our Martial Soul Hall, and this responsibility will eventually be handed over to you. This world has never needed sects or empires, and the glory of our Martial Soul Hall will surely shine in your hands. Shuer also needs your cultivation. I'm sorry, Donger. I was the wrong teacher in the past. Every word spoken by Qianxun was like a heavy hammer, hitting Bibidong's heart hard. I wanted to obtain a 100,000-year soul ring, so the teacher prepared a 100,000-year soul beast for me, even willing to return injured, while I was thinking about how to kill him. If it was Bibi Dong from the past, perhaps I would definitely try to refute Qianxun. Yu Xiaojiang is not a waste, but after removing the filter, she realized how outrageous her past thoughts were. Yes, this is the martial soul hall where I am taken in and raised. This is my home. Why would I betray my family for the sake of that person with low cultivation and theoretical plagiarism? But teacher, he has indeed played with my emotions and tarnished my body. I should really hate him, what I should hate, why? When I think of that useless person Yu Xiaojiang leaving me and being with another woman, and when I think of the teacher risking serious injury to bring back 100,000-year-old soul beast for me, why can't I hate him anymore? Bibi Dong seemed to lose the motivation for revenge in an instant, lost and confused, with complex eyes. Don't you want revenge? Your enemy is right in front of you, not at this moment, when will it be? A seductive voice rang out from Bibidong's mind, as if it carried a demonic force that could drive him down. Bibi Dong hesitated for a moment. Originally determined, she now didn't know if it was right or wrong to do so. If I really did this, there would be no turning back. What are you waiting for? Your poison has already been poisoned, do you want me to help you push it? If Qianxun Ji finds out that you have been poisoned, and his soul power and body recover, he won't punish you. Damn it, I finally twisted the influence of the angel's holy illusion and led Bibi Dong towards paranoia, making Bibi Dong prepare to devour Chihiro's illness. How could I just give up all my previous efforts like this? How can we complete the adult's plan like this? No, we have to increase the dosage. Under the influence of that intangible consciousness, an unnamed flame burned fiercely from Bibidong's heart. She didn't know and why she felt angry, but simply wanted to vent her evil thoughts in her heart. The fire of anger and resentment. Yes, he manipulated my thoughts and controlled me in order to control me. I should hate him. He deserves to die. Bibi Dong grabbed Qianxunji's neck, and Qianxunji was caught off guard and looked at him in shock. Donger. You. He was about to use his soul power, but now he realized that he couldn't use any soul power at all. It was the poison in the medicine soup just now. But how could this be possible? How could there be a poison that can block the Douluo soul power of the title? And is it just now that the poison is spreading? He had no idea that Bibi Dong could use his extremely poisonous Death Spider Emperor poison as a lure to develop the soul-locking poison that could only be used to block the holy soul power into a taboo poison that could block the titled soul power. In order to prevent the sound from spreading, Bibi Dong used his soul power to isolate the sound propagation in this room, then opened Chihiro's mouth and poured in another medicine she had prepared. After her thinking became clear, she never imagined that killing Qianxun disease would inevitably attract people's attention. Therefore, in order to push all the problems onto Tang Hao, she specially obtained a poison that can cause the user to show symptoms of blunt death. Moreover, this poison will also take effect and evaporate in a very short time, making it impossible to trace any traces. After finishing all of this, Bibidong's hands trembled as she walked away from the influence of the nameless fire, but in the end, she still did it. Donger. I know. You hate me. I just hope you don't bring hatred onto Shuer. She's just a child. Without a father. She can't have a mother anymore. When Bibi Dong was completely awake, she found that she could finally not turn back. Bibi Dong remained silent for a while before finally releasing his martial soul and embracing Qianxun Ji. Regarding Bibi Dong, the setting here is that first, Chihiro applied illusions to Bibi Dong in order to sever his emotions, taken from the original design of Dui, and then was influenced by the Rakshasa deity, distorting this interference into hatred and paranoia, taken from the original work of Dui. After all, if Bibi Dong cannot recover as a normal person as soon as possible, many readers are likely to have a cerebral hemorrhage. In addition, in the original work, Bibidong's image has undergone multiple changes. Before and after the Soul Master competition, apart from dealing with Yu Xiaojiang, Bibi Dong had always held a firm stance on the martial soul hall. Afterwards, she became the Empress Owl who was solely focused on unifying the continent. Not long before the ending, it turned into that paranoid and crazy person who wanted to destroy the world. This process of corruption is also the downfall of the Son of Destiny. Suppressing the rise of the Son of Destiny, distorting the will of the Son of Destiny, and using it as a stepping stone to pave the way for Tang San to seize his fortune. But it can also be inferred from this that early Bibi Dong did not have any magical thoughts in his mind. Even if he couldn't restrain his instinctive disgust towards the Angel clan, he would not go against the interests of the martial soul hall in the face of right and wrong, except for Yu Xiaojiang. After lifting Bibi Dong's attachment to Yu Xiaojiang here, he should be able to quickly return to his more normal image in the early stages of the relative battle. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. The Death of the Pope. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. The Death of the Pope. Not good. Teacher. Teacher, he. Bibi Dong ran out of the room deep inside the Pope's palace, calling out to the elders in the martial soul city. After hearing the call, the elders also stepped out of the elders' hall and hurried forward. What kind of panic is it? What happened to the Pope? It's such a big fuss. The four-worshipped lion Douluo looked over with some dissatisfaction. In his opinion, the Pope's title Douluo was at least 95 level, and there were no accidents during this trip, so he did not associate it with this aspect. Teacher, he's dead. Bibi Dong is not clear about her current inner feelings, but she knows she must do so now. No matter what choices she will make in the future, she must first solve the current problem. No matter what the future holds, we must first get through the present. What? The Pope is dead. How could that be? I watched the sick child grow up. Even though he is not a big deal in the history of the Angel clan, he is still a contemporary genius when he is outside. How could anyone possibly kill him? Tell me. Did those old folks from the three ancestors do it? The male lion Douluo's eyes were wide and angry, as if he wished to eat and strip his life alive. The elders around him were also filled with anger, like eyes blazing with flames. No, it's Tang Hao. A few tears fell from the corner of Bibi Dong's eyes as she spoke. The previous events had a great impact on her heart, and through the lingering feeling of the previous events, she also burst into tears, as if her true feelings were revealed. Impossible. Tang Hao is just a quasi-title, how could he possibly kill our Pope's coronation? I even watched him return with my own eyes. Cui Mo Douluo was one of the last few people to see Qianxun Ji back then. He witnessed Qianxun Ji's serious injury with his own eyes. How could he suddenly die? The teacher told me that Tang Hao, in order to kill him, spared no effort in using the Haotian sex ring exploding secret technique. He was accidentally injured, and by the time I brought the medicine, he had already died when I left the room. Speaking of which, Bibi Dong wiped away the tears from the corners of his eyes. Damn Tang Hao. This diurnal beast. Xiongshi Douluo now almost wished to kill Tang Hao on the spot as a warning to others. Cui Mo Douluo had already separated from Qianxun Ji before, so naturally he was not aware of the specific situation of Qianxun Ji's battle with Tang Hao, so he was not aware of the problem. At this moment, another woman walked over, who was a healing soul warrior with a good understanding of human injuries. I examined the body beneath the Pope's crown and found that the injury was caused by a blunt instrument. Its muscles, meridians, and bones were shattered and necrotic in multiple places, and it can be basically determined that it was fatal after being severely blunt struck. That person made a professional analysis of several elders, and upon hearing how shocking the trauma suffered by Qianxun was, they all wished they had swallowed Tang Hao alive. The poison made by Bibi Dong was specifically designed to deal with today's situation. In order to ensure safety, she even conducted experiments with soul beasts. Even as a poison expert, she couldn't see any traces. It seems that even the elders of the martial soul hall couldn't detect any problems. Humph. I'll go find the great monk. Nothing can stop me from destroying their Haotian sect this time. They have repeatedly injured the people in my martial soul hall, really thinking that my martial soul hall is being bullied. The lion Douluo waved his sleeve and immediately ran towards the altar. The other elders were also gathered here, and for a moment, the crowd was enraged. On the nearby grassland, several blue-silver grasses also swayed. Although A Yin has been sealed with soul power, she has not lost the ability to communicate with blue-silver grass. This is her instinct, which she was born with and can do without soul power. She has learned about what happened at the Martial Soul Hall. The Pope has died, and the Martial Soul Hall is going to take action against Tang Hao. If that's the case, wouldn't the sacrifice she made in the beginning be in vain? No way. Never let them harm Hauge and Qianxun. Yes, even if I die, I will not leave the soul ring and soul bone to them. With the life power of my blue-silver emperor, they cannot kill me. Only by using myself as a bargaining chip can I prevent them from harming Hauge and Qianxun. A few days later, the Martial Soul Hall also began the funeral of the Pope. Bibi Dong did not immediately search for the 100,000-year-old soul beast that had been under house arrest. Now she must play the trick first. As an apprentice who cares for the teacher, how could she lick the soul beast brought back by the teacher just after his death? Isn't that equivalent to telling everyone that you have a ghost? Thinking of this, Bibi Dong was also on pins and needles. It's almost over, as long as the funeral is over, I'll get through it myself, and from then on, no one will know about it again. At the funeral, Douluo Qianxun had a heavy expression on his face. In his later years, he experienced the pain of losing his son, which no one could bear. However, at this moment, he still felt that his own sick child's skills were not as good as his own, and he couldn't blame Tang Hao. Thinking of this, he also let out a slight sigh. On the contrary, the several worshippers on the side were all furious. Not long ago, the golden crocodile even scolded him for forgetting his personal feelings. Although the golden crocodile often called him the elder brother of Qianxun, he still wanted to be a generation higher than Qianxun. However, this matter was ultimately suppressed by 1,000 streams of flow. This is the last chance. If Haotian sect dares to invade my martial soul hall again next time, even if you stop me, I will make them look good. The golden crocodile said so in the beginning. Qianxun felt bitter in his heart, and he also knew that suppressing this matter had already made several worshippers dissatisfied. He only hoped that Haotian sect would not do anything extreme again. He is rational and follows the rules, not completely submissive. Honest people can be even more terrifying if they are forced to be anxious. It is said that honest people are the Buddha in their hearts who suppresses such demons. I hope Haotian sect will not force them to release the demons in their hearts. When the time comes, don't blame him for not showing Tang Chen affection. At the Pope's funeral, everyone remained silent, but hatred towards Tang Hao and Emperor Haotian was brewing. The Pope's funeral ended in such an atmosphere. After the funeral of the Pope, the Grand Apostolic ultimately decided to temporarily replace the Pope and promoted Bibi Dong as a candidate for the Pope, with no objection from any elders. In their view, Bibi Dong, as the first genius to develop the twin cultivation method, the owner of the super martial soul, the first twin quasi-title, and the youngest quasi-title, has the qualification to serve as the Pope in all aspects of intelligence, aptitude, talent, and potential. What is lacking is only strength. Once he obtains the 9th soul ring, becomes a true title Douluo, and even absorbs the soul ring for the second martial soul, stepping into the super Douluo, no one will be dissatisfied. At that time, Bibi Dong will no longer be afraid of external threats and can truly disclose all his achievements, intimidating the entire Soul Master world. In order to promote Bibi Dong's growth, the Martial Soul Hall has not publicly disclosed her information, but is afraid of being targeted by external forces. Some people cannot see the rising of a new star and only try to strangle it. Even the changes in the perception of twin martial souls by the outside world today stem from that useless theory. He took away Donger's achievements as a tool for his fame, to the extent that the Soul Master world only knows that twin martial souls are powerful, but does not know that these are achievements of Bibi Dong. When she steps into the ban, it's time to return the honor that belongs to her. It is known that Bibi Dong was the first Soul Master to successfully cultivate twin martial souls. Prior to this, all Soul Masters had exploded and died. Bibi Dong completed the twin cultivation method in an unprecedented way. Moreover, Bibi Dong later completed the seamless transition of her twin martial soul true body state without any guidance from anyone, which is enough to demonstrate her strong intelligence in twin aspects. In theory, with the intention of hiding Bibi Dong in the martial soul hall, it is impossible for anyone to know that twin martial souls can still cultivate. Instead of thinking, it turns out to be another twin unlucky person who can explode his body as long as he cultivates. Before Bibi Dong, twin should have been regarded as a life-inducing talisman, and no twin soul master would dare to embark on the path of cultivation, because no one could solve the problem of twin soul power conflict. Therefore, in the situation where the world knows the power of twin martial souls but does not know Bibi Dong, the only reasonable speculation is that Yu Xiaojiang used Bibi Dong's achievements to deduce his own theory, but did not mention Bibi Dong at all due to hatred in his heart. All the praises of twin martial souls in the world should be created by Bibi Dong himself based on his abilities. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Agreement with A Yin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10 Agreement with A Yin. It wasn't until the end of the Pope's funeral that Bibi Dong finally breathed a sigh of relief. I finally managed to get through this level. The great sacrifice asked me to inform His Highness the Virgin to quickly absorb the 9th soul ring. The martial soul hall cannot be without a pope for a day, and I request His Highness the Virgin to officially establish her title as soon as possible. As the original team of Qianxun and Ji, Chui Mo Douluo was sent by Qiandao sect to inform him of the news. After receiving the notification, Bibi Dong also nodded slightly. Thank you, Elder Tsuimo. I'll go now. Subsequently, Bibi Dong followed the lead of Chui Mo Douluo to the room where A Yin was located. A Yin is now immersed in the longing for Tang Hao every day. The time she spent with Tang Hao seems to be vivid in her mind. Now, the thought of Tang Hao being persecuted by the martial soul hall makes her feel a bit dejected. For the sake of Haoge and Shaosan, I must fight for more opportunities for them, even if it's sacrificing myself. At the thought of this, A Yin's will became even stronger in his heart. Your Highness A Yin, or should I call you under the crown of blue-silver. A Yin's true identity is the Blue-Silver Emperor, a 100,000-year soul beast. The status of a 100,000-year soul beast among soul beasts is like a title Douluo to humans. Therefore, it is reasonable for Bibi Dong to respectfully call him Crown Prince. Are you the one who wants my soul ring and soul bone? A Yin's eyes showed resentment and hatred. The man known as the Pope was forced to separate from Haoge because of the woman in front of her. How could he have a good face? So what, not so what? That's right, I'm the person who wants to obtain the soul ring and soul bone from you. You're lucky to be a part of my journey to become stronger, and you're proud. Bibi Dong didn't say anything nonsense, he spoke frankly about the purpose of this trip. However, she was also curious that it was the first time she had seen a soul beast like human being, so she couldn't help but want to chat for a while, as humans can't escape anyway. Humph, your Pope exchanged my voluntary sacrifice for not harming Tang Hao, but now your martial soul hall wants to harm Tang Hao, and I won't agree. Oh. You haven't figured out the situation yet. Without your consent, I can still kill and steal the ring and bone. Bibi Dong raised his eyebrows. In her opinion, the woman in front of her only had the cultivation level of 7 rings, and even had her soul power sealed. What qualifications did she have to stop herself from killing her? Only when I voluntarily sacrifice can you gain the greatest benefit, otherwise you won't be able to get my soul ring and soul bone. Ayan's eyes were filled with determination, as if ready to sacrifice at any moment. Your life is in our hands, what capital do you have to negotiate terms with? Bibi Dong looked down on this and couldn't think of a soul beast-like person with a soul-holy cultivation. She had no right to exchange her promise, and her patience was almost exhausted. Just rely on this. A burst of blue light filled the air, as if filled with an uncontrollable strong vitality. Under this vitality, even Bibi Dong was moved by it. This is A Yin's field. The blue-silver field. The highest secret in the field of blue-silver is immortality. With a constant supply of vitality, no one can kill oneself as long as they are unwilling. You should know that I am the blue-silver emperor. Although you can seal my soul power, you cannot ban my martial soul. My realm can provide me with infinite vitality. As long as I don't agree, you cannot kill me. If you don't believe me, give it a try. After speaking, a fierce attack suddenly attacked and pierced through Ayan's heart, nailing him to the wall. That was Bibidong's sixth soul skill, the vampire spider sting. Under the action of the vampire spider thorn, a continuous stream of qi and blood was consumed by Bibi Dong, but Ayan's vitality did not weaken at all. Even if he was permeated by the poison of the death spider emperor, he only felt extremely painful, as if his soul was about to tear apart, but he did not die. Unfortunately, if I were the ninth ring now, or if the second martial soul had a soul ring attached, then your realm would also be eroded and eroded by me, your soul would also disappear, and your vitality would be meaningless. However, there aren't so many ifs in this world. You have already proven your abilities to me. Tell me, what are your requirements? Bibi Dong continuously sucked on Ayan's qi and blood through the blood-sucking spider thorn, feeling as if his body was filled with vitality and full of energy, as if he had instantly become a few years younger. However, this also confirmed that Ayan's words were true, and there was no way to kill her before he could decipher her domain ability. Perhaps the self who stepped into the band is indeed confident enough to kill, but the current self is not enough. If I hadn't prepared for soul hunting before, I might have spared no expense and tried to completely kill her. But now that I have locked onto a 100,000-year-old Death Spider Emperor, compared to the 100,000-year Blue-Silver Emperor, the Death Spider Emperor with the same martial soul as myself is more suitable for my needs. If I add the ninth soul ring now, it will not be so suitable for my second martial soul. Anyway, in this martial soul city, she has no possibility of escaping. She can only restore her vitality through the realm, but cannot restore her soul power. Even if she has any escape skills, she cannot do it. Moreover, I will eventually obtain her soul ring. I want you to promise never to pursue Tang Hao again. And my child. Ayan gritted her teeth and still spoke out. Firstly, she was afraid that speaking out would be missed by the martial soul hall, and secondly, she was afraid that she would be exploited by the martial soul hall. After weighing the pros and cons, she finally spoke out. Can humans and grass still have children? It's interesting. However, it will always be too long. I will take your soul ring sooner or later, so I promise you a maximum of 5 years. You must understand that I will have the ability to kill you sooner or later, and no matter how you commit suicide, if I don't get the soul ring, your death will also make you lose your deterrence against us. Deterrence exists, but it is not significant. Bibi Dong, this is just a strategy to slow down the situation and make Ayan accept his fate with peace of mind. If it's too urgent, it's not good for anyone, is it? Ayan trembled all over, trembling with anger, but she had no strength at the moment, and all she could do was use her own life as a bargaining chip to protect Tang Hao and the mistress. Okay. I promise. In the end, Ayan still yielded. Because she knew that her proud immortality could really be surpassed by this person in the near future. She can only pray now that her Hauga will not do anything foolish for herself, and not let himself fall into disadvantageous situations again just to find her. Bibi Dong heard Ayan's agreement and slightly raised the corner of his mouth. So it's a deal. When the time comes, I will personally take the ring. Elder Chui Mo, tell the great ancestor about this matter. I believe he will understand. Also, I hope to prepare a team. I want to go to the Star Do Forest to hunt souls. Yes, Your Highness the Virgin. As the two of them left, the door closed tightly, leaving only A Yin collapsed in this dimly enclosed room. The immortal ability of A Yin originates from A Yin's mention that the highest principle in the blue-silver realm is immortality, as she can obtain a continuous stream of life through the ubiquitous blue-silver grass. But there are undoubtedly two fatal weaknesses. The first point is that once encountering things in the realm of restraint, even those that can destroy the blue-silver realm, the ability to not die will also break through without attack. For example, the demon-breaking realm of Hai Long Douluo can conquer all realms. As well as Bibidong's death realm, which almost completely eroded the blue-silver realm, Tang San still relied on the light of the sea god to turn the tables. The second point is that the blue-silver realm can only repair physical injuries through vitality, but cannot repair broken souls. In Dui, Bibidong is almost the only existence with soul attack ability, and not to mention the later eternal creation, it is its own poison. The souls of Daming and Erming were also deeply eroded by it, and Tang San was unable to detoxify them until he sacrificed to be liberated. Therefore, it is indeed possible for Bibidong to kill A Yin, but currently his cultivation level is relatively low, so he cannot achieve 100% certainty at the moment. End of this chapter.